the top 5 PT school interview questions, the most common ones that are asked. What are they? Let's get into it. What's up, everyone? I'm Janine. I'm a travel physical therapist, and I help future physical therapists get accepted into PT school. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. And if you like this video, make sure you subscribe and like this video so you can stay tuned for the next one. So the top 5, the most common PT school interview questions. So I want to say the number 1 is just a vague question. Tell me about yourself. And with this is that I would say a couple of things here. So obviously you don't want to get in depth and be like, okay, well, it started in the 2nd grade when blah, 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 blah. No, like you want to get to the point, you want to keep it pretty concise, but you still want to give them enough information where they get a feel for who you are. And with this, I would say it goes back to all of my videos on preparing for the interview. You want to do that work, and if you haven't watched those videos, make sure you go watch them because it's super important and will help you in this process as well. And so you've done all of the work, you've reviewed your application, you've looked at all of your experiences, the things that you've accomplished and challenges that you might have overcome. And so you want to work off of that, because when you look at your application, it's a lot of things listed. You don't really you might have to say experiences that you've done, but you don't exactly really get the chance, besides from the supplemental information maybe, to really show them like what did these experiences tell you? What character traits have they helped you develop, or what lessons have you learned? And so you kind of want to use those experiences to guide you with all of these answers, and especially with the first one is tell me about yourself. So you can tell them things that you've done, but you want to tell them more so like what you've learned and things that you've learned about yourself and that you might love to do. And I would pretty much give a combination of PT relevant things and other random things. So maybe you love music, maybe you love fishing, maybe you love skateboarding, and tell them a little bit as to like why you might love skateboarding or why you might love those things. Because it's like, okay, they want depth here. They're trying to put personality to all of the things that you've listed on your application, right? Okay, so the second most common question is, why do you want to be a PT? And this goes back to if you watch my videos, you know that I'm a big believer in making sure you have your why. And because this is like a powerful force as to like what's guiding you through this whole process, right? What is your why? Why do you want to be a PT? And it doesn't have to be that in depth. I feel like I remember being in this position and there was so much pressure that was put onto this. And it's like, I don't want to have the same answer as someone else and blah, blah, blah. And your mind starts spiraling and you start comparing yourself to other people. But with this is that I think just make sure it's true to you. Don't make anything up. Maybe reflect and dig deep as to more in-depth answers to, oh, well, I love to help people. Okay, but why? Maybe something in your life has helped you, realize that you love to help people. Give a little bit more depth here, and maybe that means you have to take some time to reflect as to why your reason. Okay, for example, for me it was, well, I always loved being, I loved taking care of myself and feeling my best and helping people overcome challenges. But it's like, okay, why a PT then? Why not OT? Because my grandparents, all 4 of them, got sick and they had physical therapists that worked with them every day, and they helped them way more than anyone else, way more than the doctors. And they were there with them every day. They did little things to make them feel special. Like my grandfather had a stroke and he couldn't swallow. So on his birthday, he always had cherry pie. But that day on his birthday, his therapist got him every single cherry flavored thing. And it made such a difference. And so, explaining those things and makes it really personal, and there's no right answer here. Okay, number 3. This would probably be, name a time, and this can be I've seen it in many different forms, but the overall concept is like, name a time you've had a conflict with someone and how you overcame it. And I've seen it in like, name a time you've had a conflict with someone that you worked with, or someone that you were in school with, or a patient, or someone like a boss. Like, it can be in multiple different forms. The question can be asked that way, but ideally like a time you overcame a conflict with another person. This one is, I would say it just depends on what situation you're going to answer with. So I think I said a time I worked in a group with a bunch of people and like for a class project, and someone wasn't really doing their work, and so instead of going straight to the teacher, I went to that person first, and I just, tried to genuinely talk to them and see, listen, why aren't you doing this? This is part of, we all have to pull our weight, and tried to handle the situation first, rather than just going straight to a teacher or something like that, and actually addressing the conflict head on in an approachable way. So you can, take that in whatever direction you want. The next one would probably be, or what do you know about our PT program? And so this, I would probably do your research before you go into every interview, and have a list of things that, I saw that you guys have I really liked your, the way that you format the semesters, and you fit in the clinical rotations within the schooling, or maybe you liked how they had the clinical rotations after the schooling, so you learn a lot first, or whatever it can be. But I would say that's just going to depend on the school that you go to, but make sure you do your research before going into the school. And if that means calling ahead of time and seeing if you can talk to someone, or just, you can find out a lot of this information from the website. And the last one, I would say, in my experiences, they're gonna ask you something specific about your experiences on your application. So this is gonna depend on the person, and you really wanna. This goes back to when And so the last question that they might ask is usually, in my experience, what they've asked me and what I've talked to other people is, they're gonna ask you something specific about your application. And this is where it differs from other people, but ideally they're kind of looking for the same thing, right? And that would be, they wanna put a qualitative component to your application. To this point on, you've listed, I've got this amount of observation hours, this and this, I did this research project with this professor and blah blah blah. But they're looking for more depth. And if you don't really have that depth to explain them, and you just say, oh yeah, we did this research and this research and this, we looked up this and this, and something that is obvious, like a given, is what I think they're not really looking for. They want to know, what did you learn? Like, what traits did you develop? What challenges did you overcome? Or maybe it was something cool that you learned research-wise. If it was research, I know they asked me about all my research, not all of them, but a lot of the research projects that I did. But they're gonna ask you something specific about your application. So this goes back to all of my videos on preparing for your interview, because you need to actually review your interview. When I went to my first one, I totally blacked out. I'm like, I thought, okay, yeah, I did all of that. I was there. Obviously, I'm gonna remember it. But when you get there, it's like, I was so nervous that I just blacked everything out, and I didn't even really know what to say, so I didn't articulate the answers in the way that I wanted to. So I want to definitely suggest watch my videos on how to prepare for your PT school interview. And yeah, but other than that, I think these are the most 5 common ones, and you can definitely get a different form of the question, but ideally that touches on a lot of the things that these schools are looking for. So I hope this video helped, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.